So today, we are going to not be clumsy. I just knocked over all my pots. I have some water here. And about 8 days ago, I planted some seedlings and I need to get them out of these. Now these are long beans, these tall ones. And then this little one right here, that's broccoli. And this one, it says it's zucchini. And I have 4 of those. So we'll start with the small ones right here, the zucchini. And we'll work our way across the tray. I think I'm gonna leave the long beans in here because these are gonna go directly in the ground. I believe, I gotta research it. I believe they can take the heat, although, Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 103 degrees Fahrenheit.
So it's 103 outside, so maybe I'll wait a couple of weeks. This is Jamaica5288. I'm getting into my planting seeds. I got my cups here and I have my tray here. I started these seeds about 7 to 14 days ago. And look, I started them inside under a tray. It didn't necessarily have to have any lights when you first start the seeds. But once they sprout, I put them outside and I brought them back in. I put them outside for like 15 to 20 minutes, brought them back inside. Then I increased it to like 45 minutes, brought it back out, brought them back inside. And every day I increased the amount of exposure they had to the outside elements. And that is called hardening a plant off. The reason why you want to do this is because there's wind outside. And every time the wind blows, this little stick, this little plant, these little plants shake. And by shaking, the stem of the plant becomes stronger, the leaves get more, tougher, just like we get tougher in life. The plants need to experience life so that they can become tougher. Now this plant don't belong in here. One of these plants don't look like the other. This one look like one of these. I don't know how that happened. But we're going to, and I moved them, I can smell them. I must have moved one too far. We're gonna plant these 4, and then I want to plant the broccoli. These are zucchini, and that looks like a zucchini also. And these are broccoli. So let's get to it, let's get to upplanting. I have these little cups. I have my trusty soil here in my bucket, and it's super dry. So, because it's so dry, I brought some water, and I need to saturate it. I'd rather for it to be wet and super dry. Ooh, and it's hot. Oh yeah, this thing is like it's hot. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll say that a couple of times. So I'm filling my little pod with some soil. Move this out a little bit. And I started using 2 of these trays. I get these trays for free from the supermarket when they sell all of these little pods. Like all of these pods would be sitting in these trays. When they sell the pods out of the trays, they throw these out, and you can plant your plants in it. These trays are actually bigger than the the seedling trays that you buy, starter trays or whatever. So why pay for what you can get for free? That's my theory. I can't get this out of here. I'm gonna pop it out the best I can. Here's one of the 2, right? And the extra soil I'm gonna have to put here. I'm not gonna disturb the ones that haven't come up yet because there's always a possibility they are gonna germinate. And they're called late germinators or late bloomers, I call them. So I've learned not to replant on top of seeds that have not germinated, because they can, will, and will germinate on you. And you'd be like, what are you? You're supposed to be corn, but you look like a butternut. So that's one done right there. Super easy to do this stuff. You just have to set aside a little bit of time to get this stuff done. But it's not hard. And once you get them in here, you just have to make sure you continue to water them and take care of them. Main thing is to get them out of these seedling trays before they become root bound. Look at the roots on that. You see that? That is beautiful. So I'm gonna pour some out. Let me get this in here. Another reason why I do this is because I don't wanna buy seedlings. I don't wanna buy seedlings. If I can grow a seedling that is comparable to the one that they sell at one of the nurseries or the big box stores or anywhere, the grocery store, why should I spend $1.79 for this? The whole pack of seeds was less than $1.79 actually. Why? It's only taking me a few minutes, and you don't necessarily have to buy the soil. You go in your backyard or to your neighbor's backyard or somewhere on the street and pick up some dirt. Dirt is everywhere. Dirt is everywhere. So, and you don't have to buy these little things. Some people are using tin cans, milk cartons. They're using anything. Actually, there's one lady who is making it. I'm gonna start doing this because I want to try it. She's using newspaper and she's rolling it into a cylinder, and then you don't have to take them out of the cups. You just take the newspaper planter that you made and you put that in the ground. It is incredible. I was like, man, she's a genius. I don't know where she learned that from or how she came up with that, but that was a good idea. You just take the whole cylinder and put it in the ground. That's my next thing to master. Okay, these two don't want to separate. Okay, there's one. You see how easy this is? You see what I'm putting down? Can you pick up what Jamarica's putting down? And these seedlings are just so happy. Another thing about growing your own or growing from seed, I'm not gonna say growing your own because growing your own means a lot of things. Growing from seed is that sometimes, and this has happened to me, you buy seedlings and they have either a disease or an insect that you don't want in your yard. When you buy those seedlings, make sure you look at them, make sure nothing's crawling around in there. Because they're outside and they come from, they're probably not local, probably from another part of the United States, and some of these places have little insects that are aphids or things that you don't want to deal with, that you don't want to bring a problem into your garden. We all have our ecosystems and we all have our insects. We all have our insect problems. Me, roly-polies. First it started with, I'm not gonna complain. First it started with the snail. The snails were everywhere because a lot of things died and snails like moisture. So the roly-polies. So the roly-polies came in after I got rid of most of the snails. I put some Corey's snail something. It was a local thing. Say snail, whatever, be gone or whatever. So the snails were gone. And on top of doing that, I went out every morning when the snails were active, gathered them up, and put them in a pail. I called it the pail of death because that's where they laid. They stayed in there. Once I put it in there, I put the top back on, and every day I would go out there. And initially, I was picking up like 30, 40, 50 snails. It was a lot. And I had the pail in my hand at that time because it was just infested. They were eating up everything. That was spring. So I got rid of them. Then the roly-polies woke up. Now I got this weird flying black bug that's eating up my peppers. It's always something. So every garden has their own ecosystem. Every garden. And you don't want to bring another problem into your garden. So grow your own. Grow your own. Excuse me. Start your own. Start your own seedlings. So I'll move to the yellow, to the orange. Get your colors right, girl. I'm going to the orange cups. And we are going to move on. I'm gonna leave these alone. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pods where nothing came up. I'm gonna leave those alone and I'm gonna go on to the broccoli. The broccoli germinated. So broccoli, I can't grow broccoli in the spring and the summer because spring is not long enough, at least where I live, for it not to bolt on me. I tried to grow some this spring. I tried, and it bolted. Started producing flowers and seeds really quick. So quick that I wasn't able to get any broccoli. No heads ever formed. So, here's my broccoli. Yay! So I have 2 of them in here. You don't have to do these in seedling trays. You could actually start these in a cup, in a solo cup. So I have one here, right? I'm gonna place it in there gently, right? Because I don't want it super low. I want this thing to be above the lip. I want the plant to be above the lip because a plant needs light. You don't want to bury them deep. So don't skimp on your soil. Get the plant high enough where it can get the sunlight it needs. Otherwise it becomes leggy, and leggy is bad. I don't have any leggy plants here, but what happens is with leggy plants, the plant is reaching for the sun and it becomes really stringy and frail. The only plant that I know you can recover with leggy plants the only seedling I know that recovers from being leggy are tomato plants. And that's because tomato plants have those little furry things on the sides and those little fur stem. The stem is furry, right? And that can become roots. So if you bury a tomato seedling that is leggy deep, then like if I bury a long seedling that's that long and I leave the tip out this high and then I have the rest of the stem under the dirt, that stem that is underground will produce roots. That's the only plant that I know can recover from being leggy. So that's one broccoli plant. Yay! I'm not putting these outside for another month. Well, not till September. It's too hot. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 103 degrees Fahrenheit.
See, I ain't lying to you. Texas is hot. I don't know how the rest of the country is doing. And then I get on, I watch YouTube a lot, right? I watch a lot of YouTubers from all over the country. And I hear them complain, oh my God, it's so hot. It's going to be around 90 degrees. You all stay safe out there. Well, I kind of understand because a lot of places or a lot of houses up north, they don't have air conditioning. I know my mom's house does, and I'm a New Yorker. I was born and raised in New York. But 90? Open the window if you can. I know my mom is in New York City. She sits and opens the window, and she sits right there. And she has a window unit, a window AC unit that she refuses to use because she said the bill, Con Edison, will kill her. The bill will kill her, literally. So she won't turn it on. So she sits. Either she goes outside, and she has a little cooler. She put her foot in to cool her, because if you cool your feet off, it cools your body off. Your head and your feet. You keep those cool, you'll be all right. So she doesn't do the head thing because guys down here do. They put a big wet towel on their head and walk around looking like they're in the middle of the desert. And I was wondering why they did it when I first got here, because I was like, they look like a darn fool. Because their head was on fire. They didn't care what they looked like. But my mom will sit back there and she'll cool off. And I remember when we were a kid, when it's hot, we'd sit on the porch. Sit on the porch until we got tired. And then we'd open up the windows. We'd open up the windows to the house and the breeze would come through at nighttime. Daytime, man, you take your butt outside. I don't recommend you doing that to your kids in Texas, though. You might have to meet them at the hospital because it's 103, and that's not with the heat index. So that's not what it feels like. Just like there's a wind chill factor up north, there's a heat index down in Texas, down south. Okay, these two, they look like they married, so I might just I hate planting them together, but if they're that close, they're too close for me to try to separate. I'm putting them together. Put them, don't be afraid to plant them together. You're gonna have to separate them eventually. When they're stronger, you can separate them, but right now, man, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it the old New Yorker. There it is, 1, 2. I got it. I'm surprised. You see, you just gotta try. Okay. All right. Give it the old college 1, 2, or whatever they used to say. I don't know what they're saying. Just give it the old college try. Whatever that means. College students are not the smartest. They do some of the dumbest things. Sometimes I wonder, because they just got away from their parents' authority or their parents' watchful eye, they do some dumb stuff. Everybody does, though. Everybody does. Once you get away from your parents, you're like, ugh. I'm free. I can do what I want to do. And you think you can do what you want to do, but that's not necessarily true. No one in society gets to do what they want to do. There are consequences to everything. Legally or illegally. You'd be like, I'm not hurting anybody here. You're not, but you might be hurting your future. And a lot of college students haven't learned that. They go out, they're exploring, but some of them are not the smartest. Okay, some of them not the smart. I'm not going to say they're not smart, but some of the things they do or experiment with is not healthy, or it's dangerous, or could hurt somebody, or their future could hurt their future. Okay, we got 4 broccoli done. And I'm tapping it down with 1 finger. I'm not squeezing it down. 1 finger squeeze. I'm just trying to get the air pockets out. I'll wipe these things down later because they look very dirty. They're very dirty. I've been using these pots over and over again. I washed them, but they stood outside. They were with the dirt. And, life. The pots are experiencing life. I don't care, really. I don't really care what they look like as long as they do what they're supposed to do, which is keep my seedlings alive. So, here's another one. Got it up. The less you disturb your seedling roots, and it makes sure you bury them too, because I see some on top of here. The less you disturb your seedling roots, the better you are. So see how I got this one in a big hunk? That's better because it will experience less shock. The more you disturb the roots or expose the roots, they're going to go through a little bit of shock. They're going to wilt over and look like they're going to die. Just give them some water and some time and they should be all right. Should. Don't quote me on that. Not will. Should. So that's why you plant more than you need. If you have some casualties, you can afford that. So if I need 2, I'll plant 4. And if I get all 4, that's fine. But if I get, if 2 die and I have 2 left, that's great. That's enough for me. Or I'm not saying to plant the whole pack, because that's what I was doing initially. Dumping the whole pack of seeds into a solo cup. And then, luckily, I have enough room out here for some stuff. But I mean, room is not the problem. It's taking care. You got to water all that stuff. So just plant a little bit more than you need. Not a whole pack of seeds. Because some of those seeds have 100 seeds in it. And I have a tray out there right now that I got to get in the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, that got to be that has to be around 50 plants in there. It has to be. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it in the morning. Then the morning comes, I'm like, oh my God, I waited too late. The sun's out. It's hot. It's already 90 degrees. I'm not going to finish before it hits 100. And I don't want to be out here with the flies and the mosquitoes bite me up because I passed out from heat exhaustion. So I don't do it. I don't do it. And then the next, the night comes and I go out there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it now. And the mosquitoes are out in the evening. The mosquitoes are really bad in the evening here in Texas. And I go out there with every inkling of my body wants to put these things in the ground. Then I get bit by a mosquito and my plans change. As soon as I start feeling, you know, I could feel it start to itch, or sometimes I catch the mosquito in the act of defiling me. They don't care. It's like I'll be looking at them and they're looking at me and they're like, bzzz, and I'm thinking to myself, what's that sound? That sounds like either there's a fly or it's a mosquito. And in the evening, it's not a fly, it's a mosquito. Definitely a mosquito. On my other video, I had a video where I was planting, what was I planting? Peppers. Y'all go look back. I stayed out there and planted one poblano pepper. Those mosquitoes bit me at least 4 times. Here's another plant. I slowly broke it off. And I ran my butt back inside and started planting at this very same table that I'm at right now. And I had to go and get some tea tree oil and tend to my wounds. I don't want to be all black and blue. I'm already bit up this summer. They got me. They got me. You're a gardener. Either you're going to have to, you're going to have to kill yourself spraying with DEET. And the whole reason why we garden is to be natural. And you're spraying yourself down with all these chemicals trying to keep the mosquitoes at bay. So what did I buy? I bought some Skin So Soft, which is chemical too. I'm like, okay, I'm winning one way, but I'm losing in another way because I have to put all these chemicals on my skin to stop the mosquitoes from biting me out. My face is all twisted up when I talk about it. I do not like mosquitoes. I don't know what mosquitoes are good for. Alexa, what are mosquitoes good for?
Here is an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. Mosquitoes serve to balance the food chain. They are food for several reptiles and other insects. If mosquitoes disappeared, many other species would probably cease to exist along with them.
All right, they're part of the food chain. Woo-hoo. We're part of their food chain. I have some geckos around here. I have some geckos, some frogs. I have a frog that lives outside my door. He looks at me every morning. And I was like, is that normal? I was afraid. I was like, is this, you know, I'm not superstitious, but I didn't like that frog looking at me every night. Every night at dusk, he comes out and he's outside the door looking at me. Looking at me. Initially, I was like, and then I didn't really last night, while I was letting them in the chihuahua, and he doesn't bark unless something is around that he doesn't want there. I looked, it was that darn frog. He didn't even move. He just sat there and looked at, okay, let me tell you what frogs do. Your dog try to bite up a frog, and I've had dogs do that. Not these, because German Shepherds are smart enough to leave those things alone. They just ignore them. The Chihuahua, on the other hand, he don't know no better. And he thinks it's smaller than him, and he can win. But let me tell you what the frog will do. The frog will let the dog pick it up in its mouth. And then it'll pee in the dog's mouth. I don't know what kind of toxic chemicals frogs have in their pee, in their urine, but the dog will first of all, drop the frog and start foaming at the mouth. Either it's they pee in their mouth, as I think it's pee. I think it's that they pee in the dog's mouth. Or something on their skin is so nasty that the dog just has to let them go. They just have to let them go. And then they start foaming at the mouth and kind of trying to get the taste. You could tell that, you could tell that it's super nasty because the dog will start kind of face rolling in the ground, trying to get the taste out of their mouth. So whatever it is, whatever those frogs do, that's their mechanism, their survival skill. Bad tasting. They taste bad. I've eaten frog legs. There was an aftertaste. It wasn't bad. It was just different. Apparently it's worse than frog legs. Whatever they're doing. You ever see your dog do something, you're like, no, stop. You're doing something that's gonna, oh no. And by the time you get to them, it's too late. I've had dogs pick up a frog and run off with it, only to drop it moments later. And they only do it once, because once whatever happens in their mouth happens, it traumatizes them for the rest of their lives, and they never pick up another frog again. As a matter of fact, they see the frog, they won't even bark at it. They just go on their way. They don't want no smoke from those frogs. And the frogs apparently know it, because they don't move. I told you he's outside my door. The kennel is right there, and he's right in between the kennel and the door. And the dogs, except for the Chihuahua, for Chico the Chihuahua, they ignore him. And I know it's the same frog because he always winks at me. Hey baby, what's your name? What you doing tonight? What are we watching on YouTube? I want to see. All right, I got 2 more. Well, I got 3 more, but I'm going to use 2 more cups because one of them is super small. The allergies. Another thing they don't tell you about living out here in Central Texas is if you have allergies, or if you didn't have allergies, you'll probably have them in Texas. I don't know. There's nothing. What is growing? We don't have any. I mean, pollen is not. I don't know what it is. I guess it's the Sahara Desert dirt that's coming through, making everybody cough like they've been smoking cigarettes for 50 years. I had a doctor ask me that. Ma'am, do you smoke? And it's in my file that I don't smoke. Here I am coughing, and she's asking me if I'm a smoker. I guess that makes sense, but I was insulted. It's like, of course, no. I had to ask. I'm sorry. I had to ask. Well, why are you asking? Because you're coughing like a smoker. Coughing like a smoker because this place is full of fumes. And they got a fire going out there in Bastrop. And that's not going to make anything better. It's not. Fire going on out there in Bastrop. Poor people. Bastrop burned down once before. I think it was 2011. A lot of people. We had one guy from the city of Austin. I think his name was Troy Farr. He died in the Bastrop fires trying to go and get his tools. So let me tell you something about disasters. If they tell you to evacuate, and I'm not saying it's his fault, tell you to leave and don't come back until we tell you can, don't go back in there. Don't go back in there. He went back in there to get his tools, so they say. And he never came back, him and his dogs. And the only reason why we knew what he did is because he dropped his girlfriend off at the shelter, because they had an evacuation shelter. He said, I'm going to go back in and get some stuff and I'll be right back. He never ever made it back. Never made it back. Him and his dog. Or dogs. I think it was a dog, one dog. Man. That was sad. Your life is not worth anything. You can always, I'm not going to say you're going to get the same things back because some things are irreplaceable, but you are also irreplaceable. Don't put material things over your life. Do not do it. Don't risk your life for material things. The Bastrop fires were horrible. Burned down, and it's called, one of them is called the Lost. It happened twice. Man, this is the third one. It happened twice. One of them was the Lost Pines fire. I think that's the one that he got caught in. Lost Pines fires in Bastrop, Texas. Look it up. Bastrop used to have beautiful, you'd drive, and the pine trees would be just over you. It was so, so beautiful. And after that happened, for years and years, it looked like it looked like a disaster area. There was nothing but a bunch of dead sticks that was like 25, 50 feet high of burned pine trees. Pine trees. Pine goes up like matchsticks. And people out there don't play about their fire. I think they should put a law in there if you get caught with your barbecue pit, because people people drive with their pits, they're smokers. So they'll have their trailers and they have big, big barbecue pits, right? And they'll drive and they'll be smoking their meat while they're driving. I think there should be a law where if you get caught during a fire ban or, doing something irresponsible, it should be jail time. I went out there to Bastrop, and and you could still see some of them. This was like 7 years ago. The only thing you could see of people's houses was their fireplace. Everything else burnt to the ground. So, 4th of July, that's why I was so upset. Because I know what can happen. And everybody around here knows what can happen because it happened in Bastrop, and everybody thinks, oh, it can't happen to me. Yeah, it can. It hasn't rained here in this area for at least 2 to 3 months. Dry. We're in stage 3 water restriction. Stage 3. I think there's only 4 stages. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. So I have the lawn beans that are left here, and then I have the pods that are the ones that did not germinate, which I'm gonna leave alone. I'm continue to water it. This is probably a zucchini. See that one? See that leaf? Let me turn it around and let you look at it. This leaf does not look like the others. One of these leaves does not look like the other. Whatever that song is. One of these things kind of the same. Can you tell which? Be quiet. Be quiet. You're going too far. Okay, so this one is not the same, and it's got to be in the family of this because the leaves are similar. But I have to leave that one there until I upplant these. Okay, here we are. So I have 4 zucchini planted, and that's all I need, 4. I have a lot more broccoli, but you know, I didn't have a good success. I had a good success rate with the broccoli earlier this year, or in January when I started, and the broccoli just just bolted. So I'm gonna try it again. They grew, but they bolted because of the heat. So I have 6. Oh, clumsy girl, clumsy girl. So I have, that is 6, 9, 11. I have 11 of them planted, which is a lot for broccoli. And I have never had a head develop on my broccoli. I told you they bolted. They turned into flowers. I didn't see any head. I never saw a head develop. So these will probably be in this for a long time until I'm sure it's not going to be super, super hot. September, mid-September, who knows? So I'm gonna get these things watered in. I'm gonna try to find a pan so that they can seep water from the bottom, and that's it. They're gonna be in these pans for a while. Next time you see them, they will not look like this. They're gonna be a lot bigger, especially these. They start vining. I might have to upplant these again. We'll see. We will see. This is Jamerica 5288. I thank you guys for being with me. Go ahead and get your your fall seedlings planted. I got the 2 words mixed together. Your fall seedlings planted. Don't be afraid to do it yourself instead of spending, more money than you should on seedlings. Use a tin cup, use a solo cup, use whatever you have. Just make sure you put a hole on the bottom and you water it. And you give it some sun once it starts to sprout. It's Jamerica 5288. I thank you guys for being with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.